Welcome to the Document Control Hub on YouTube. Get knowledge, get insights, get useful tips on document control. Learn and contribute to the availability of theoretical knowledge of document control. I am Olaris. I am so pleased you are watching. Don't forget to drop your comments, like, and subscribe to this channel. This episode is simply an introduction to document control. So, come on, let's dive in. Alright, it's first things first. What exactly is document control? We can define document control as an information management discipline with the responsibility to enforce controlled processes for managing documented information throughout their life cycle. Now, let us quickly analyze the definition by having a closer look at some of the important keywords and phrases. Now, the first keyword I want to take on is highlighted green on the screen, and that is discipline. Being tagged as a discipline gives us the sense that document control is a body of knowledge. That is a specialized field of study, in this case, a branch of information management. Invariably, it means document control has a career path or a growth path. Our next keyword or phrase is information management. So, simply put, document control is a subset of the information management profession or portfolio, where information in this case can take the form of data, document, and record in any medium. The management aspect has to do with activities like the organization, planning, dissemination, use, disposal, and archival of the documented information. You probably ask, what is documented information? Documented information is a relatively new term. Perhaps it was coined and first used by ISO because it began to trend after ISO published their 2015 edition of QMS, Quality Management System. So I took my definition directly from the 2015 edition of ISO Book of Vocabulary. Okay, documented information was defined in clause 3.8.2 of the ISO 2015 edition as information required to be controlled and maintained by an organization and the medium on which it is contained. Now, the book of standard, which is ISO, in Appendix A, while trying to clarify on the use of this new terminology, clearly stated that organization can choose to use terms which suit their operations. For example, they could use records instead of documented information. They could also use documentation instead of documented information. They could as well use protocols rather than documented information. Now, I do not know if this term is actually better than what we used to have in ISO 2008 edition, which simply called this documented information control documents. In any case, I'll leave that as a food for thought. What will be important here and think will add value is if I can explain to you the word control, because as you can see, it's appearing in the definition of documented information as well as our original definition for document control. So, what is controlled, or what is controlled process? What is a controlled process? All right, let's take it in bits. What is a process? A process in document control is the series of steps and actions involved in managing documented information throughout their life cycle. For example, document creation, document cancellation, document review and approval process, document distribution process, document handover process. All right, these processes all takes input to generate output, or what is referred to as intended results. All right, having seen what a process is, now what is a controlled process? A controlled process is a process that must be subject to formal or quality action. We can replace the word formal there with official. All right. Now, let me throw more light on this with an illustration. Assuming you developed a document that will probably guide you to perform your work more efficiently. Okay. Now, you simply draft the document, or you put the steps with which you need to perform your work. All right. You can do this on a piece of paper. You can also decide to do it on a notepad on your system. You can decide to save on your desktop if you like. You can decide to share it with people. You can decide to start using it without anybody giving any approval. All right. You can decide um, to even discard the document and destroy all available copies in your possession, even without a backup. Now, why were you able to do all that? I hope you guess right. The document is not a controlled document and does not need to follow any controlled or official process. So again, a controlled process is a process that must be subjected to formal or official or quality action. All right. So, what are some example of controlled processes in document control? We have formal creation of document process, formal review and approval process before using the document, and disposal process. All right. Next is the keyword enforce. It tells us that document control has the obligation to enforce strict adherence or compliance to requirements, or more specifically, documentation requirement. Now, it is important to emphasize this enforcement role. The reason is because beside being a support discipline, document control is also there to enforce and ensure rules and regulations that protect the organization reputation in terms of documentation are adhered to. So it's a kind of dual responsibility, one to support and two to enforce. All right, so among other skills, this dual posture require patience and social skill, to say the least. The last keyword in the definition is life cycle. What is it? Life cycle are the stages of development of a document. So it might be listed differently by different persons, but these include creation, which involves indexing of documents, capturing of document, okay, registering of document, and going to review and approval stage, usage stage, storage, retention, permanent archival, or final disposal. Well, let me end this introduction by concluding that document control exists to allow for consistency in terms of documentation practices, which means standardization or having a brand in terms of documentation. All right. So it also allows to perform checks to validate document quality before it is being accepted or before it is being published or issued out. Okay. Now it's also allowed to make retrieval and filing of document easy, and this will avoid or prevent unending search for documents and even recreation of documents that are lost or that cannot be found. Now it also allows to enforce strict compliance and adherence to established processes, okay, throughout the document life cycle. Now, document control will also allow for the follow-up of documents to ensure they are up to date. It will also ensure that personnel work with only the latest approved document. Another important one is to keep accurate record and audit trail, of documentation. This can protect the organization's interest in case of legal litigation or audit activity. And of course, it will allow to mitigate safety risk that comes from poor documentation, right? So that will do it for this episode of Document Control Hub on YouTube. Don't forget to drop your comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next video when I continue to share interesting knowledge and insights in document control. See you next time. Bye bye.